What's up, everyone? Welcome to, I guess, technically the first episode of the Bay Area Boys podcast.
Let's just call it episode 1.
Okay, we'll just call it episode 1.
Yeah.
Want me to re-roll it?
No, this is all going to be in it.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I like this.
Candid.
Candid. Yes. Thank you for getting candid with us.
The Candid Podcast.
Do you remember?
That's actually a great name for a podcast.
Do you remember Candid Camera? Smile.
Yeah.
You're on Candid Camera. Mm-hmm. The first Punked.
Yeah.
Do you actually remember it?
Oh, I mean, I didn't like watch it religiously, but like I would scroll by it. It was like channel 13 or something. You know?
Oh, was that KOFY? No, that's TV 20.
Yeah. I don't know. The WB.
The WB. Now, for $5, I'll give you, that's a weird way to state that, if you can tell me what that frog's name is.
Fuck. I can't tell you.
And hopefully I'm not messing this up.
Yeah.
I believe it's Michigan J. Frog.
I don't think so.
No?
Doesn't ring a bell. But that's like me saying Original Joe's was... Which nobody will ever hear about that one either.
Oh, they'll hear about it.
No, they won't.
They'll hear about it. This won't be record proof.
All right, so what do you want to kick off today? We didn't really do our sign-on, like the actual Welcome to Bay Area Boys podcast, where we talk about all things Bay Area.
With the boys.
Yeah. That was pretty smooth. I didn't think I would get that one.
You nailed it.
It's kind of good just coming off the cuff.
Good job, man. I'm proud of you.
So we got some Bay Area topics today. What do you want to start with?
What's first on your agenda? I want to kick off what you're thinking.
I mean, I'm thinking about our movie conversation, but we're not going to get into that because that's not the podcast as much as I want to get into that. Let's start off with the sideshow craze that's going on right now.
Yes. I'm waiting for you to team me up. I'm waiting for you to team me up, dude. I got the bat just gripped in my fingies. I'm waiting for it, bro. Just lob it in there.
Yeah. So sideshows have been getting out of control. I mean, they're sideshows in the first place, right? They're a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I know at least you two guys specifically are on my frequent Instagram reels and TikTok sends where people are just getting straight up hammered by cars in these sideshows.
Yeah, you do like the content where people get injured. I've noticed.
I do.
Children, the elderly.
I mean, it's just, I like feeling things, dude. That's like what I'm talking about. Like when it comes to the movies too, you guys like all these movies that are just god awful. Like I like the movies where I feel the same thing with the content. Like I like to see that broken arm. I like to feel that. You know what I mean?
Don't you want to feel good?
I like to feel good content too.
I've never seen
you
to
feel good movies.
What movie are you seeing tonight?
Insidious 5. But it's very heroic at the end, right? It's like they go through some trauma, then they get out of it, they all hug, and then it's like right before it ends, it's like, oh, there's gonna be another one.
Of course there is.
Yeah, so
because people like you keep going to see them.
Yeah, just like people like you keep seeing Marvel movies, who every actor will say has destroyed the whole ecosystem.
The ecosystem
of movies. Let's get off movies. We'll save that for another podcast. Yeah. So these sideshows. What do you guys think of that content that I send you?
I mean, it is a mainstay and a staple of Bay Area culture. Sideshows.
So you feel it is Bay Area culture?
I do.
Yeah.
Don't you?
A lot of people. I think it's kind of like the thing. It's like the. I think it's people are torn. Obviously, people, us from the Bay Area, yes, definitely believe it's Bay Area culture. A lot of people feel it's just straight up lawlessness.
That doesn't mean it's not part of the culture, though.
Yeah, 100%.
That's right. Like that's the thing, and this is where a lot of, especially back in the '90s rap really exploded because these people came from the streets that they grew up on, the neighborhoods they grew up on, and talked about what was just happening outside their front door. Mm-hmm. And people who didn't know that existed, clutched their pearls and found it to be horrible and terrible. But they're just saying these are just the stories of what's going on.
Yeah.
Whether you want to believe it or like it or not, this is the truth and this is reality for us.
Yeah.
And so people might not like that that's part of the culture, but that doesn't mean it's not. You can't just wash it away.
Right.
It's there, and it is part of what makes the Bay Area the Bay Area.
Right. I mean, so the reason why I bring this up is Alameda County on July 11th is voting on a new ordinance to essentially try and stop these the best they can. It's not happening. They've done a ton of stuff to try to stop it, but what they're doing is they're proposing, which actually San Jose already proposed back in 2019, where they will, if you're even within 200 feet of a sideshow watching it, even if you're just in your car parked watching it, they will issue $1,000 fine and up to 3 months in prison.
That's going to be really hard to police.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough because part of that sideshow culture is popping up in, you don't do it in the same spot, right? You don't do it on the same nights at the same time. Like, oh, Wednesday, 7:00, time for the sideshow down on 1st and 5th.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really tough. Like, dude, 100%. They're going to have some police officer like as a mole, like in there dressed up like Vin Diesel to try to blend in to everybody in all the sideshows. And they're going to pick him out immediately. So
some people are saying that this pushes the limits of constitutionality, issuing this, potential ordinance if the Board of Supervisors passes it.
In what way though? Because technically when you do a sideshow, you are breaking laws. I mean, you just are. I'm sure there are plenty of laws of the street you are breaking while doing that. So
I think more in the sense of if you're watching it.
Okay.
Is that just kind of like if you're within 200 feet of a sideshow, is that kind of, it's one thing if, hey, you catch the guy who just exited, just did his run. And then it's like, maybe you see those other type of cars there. But if you're just standing there and you're like, yo, dude, I was just walking down the street. And of course, I'm going to stop and just look at what the heck's going on here.
Yeah, I think that's more scare tactics. Yeah. It has to be because a lot of times they will do these sideshows in intersections. Mm-hmm. And so what about the cars who are just waiting for the red light to go and all of a sudden the sideshow pops up and they're just stuck there? They're going to get fined? That there's no way that is being policed in any sort of form whatsoever. They can't enforce that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So I think kind of where the real issue lies is I feel like sideshows, even when I was like in high school, used to be more of like more of a secluded meetup spot.
Yeah.
Right. Where it was kind of like, hey, we're going to try and get away. Right. So least chance of police coming, least chance of pissing people off. Where now it's just like literally everywhere.
Yeah, in main intersections.
Whether it's Vallejo or Oakland or San Jose, yeah, and then even right, so it's like now they'll just stop everybody on the Bay Bridge and just do the thing.
Yeah, it's getting more bold. Have you ever been in a sideshow?
No, I haven't. Okay. I have plenty of friends who that's their thing, but never really wanted to get up in that.
Yeah, for me, it's just like my crippling self-awareness to where if I did something like that, I know I would be hindering somebody else. And I can't do that, man. As fun and interesting as it would be, the fact that I know that I'm stopping like this guy from getting to work on time just makes my skin crawl and I could never do it.
I'll just stick to, the content and keep sending that to you guys.
Yeah.
I also don't want to be one of those people.
Who gets hit by him?
Oh, dude. Who just gets straight absolutely clobbered. And then like the thing that's the worst about that is for the most part, I think they're okay. They walk away with minimal injuries for the most part, but it's the embarrassment that they go through after that. Like it's like the pants pulled down, the shoes off. Like it's like, and we're laughing at people's pain, which is really bad. But most of these people are okay. They usually get up, their friends pick them up, or whatever happens. But it's the sheer like I saw one where this dude got caught like under a tire, and the tire was spinning, and it just ripped his whole pants and underwear.
Now,
and that is like worst case scenario, like worse than getting injured.
Did he have like 2 tire marks going up the back of his legs too?
That was the best one I saw because it was like it was like one of those videos of like the gosh, why am I blanking out right now? What's the machine where you run on it? Treadmill.
Elliptical treadmill.
Treadmill. So it's like, have you ever seen one of those where a lady falls on the treadmill and then it like takes the leggings off? It was like that.
Now, just to clarify, I'm not laughing at this person getting hurt. I'm laughing because I'm putting myself in that situation, and it's all I can do to not like completely reclude within myself is laugh at it.
Yeah.
Because I think you're exactly right. It's being an innocent bystander and being the collateral damage, it just does.
And just getting straight blown up on the internet with it.
That person's life is over.
And then a guy like me sending it to all their friends. Just every chance they get. So I want to get into something where I do kind of think, like, going back to you saying it's it's a cultural movement. It's been around for, longer than I'm alive. I've been alive. I don't know about it longer than you've been alive, but but I want to say this, like, is it kind of controversial that this has been around and been in some of these people's lives for so long, and now it's obviously becoming an issue, right, to these cities? Could, like, we change the perspective on it, and these sideshow organizers could end up working with the city to make it a more controlled environment and some safety measures on it? Yeah,
I think. Well, but therein lies the enigma, right? Mm-hmm. Counterculture has existed forever, right? Being that outlier, that fringe, that's sort of the thing that you join to be, is to be against the man, the oppressor, whatever you want to call them. That counterculture has always existed in history. When you quote unquote sell out, you then you're not part of that culture anymore. You're not part of the culture. You are assimilating into what people want you to be so that you can better fit in society and make people more comfortable. So while I think it would be safer and to be regulated, anytime you use that regulated word, you are thus taking away that edge from what people want to be a part of.
So it makes it essentially less fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah.
It's a good point. At the same time, I would say, like, okay, if it makes it less fun, if it makes it all these things, takes away the edge, how bad do you really want it? And how bad do you really want the community of it still?
Right, because then you would find the people who are doing it just to cause havoc and chaos, because that's what some people like to do. They just like to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Or do you like the people who like to do what it is there to do, is to be with the community of people, to show off their cars and their skills and all these types of things that are a big part of it too. But I think those two things are so intertwined, it's tough to unravel one without the other.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a way to make things safer and more regulated, but again, I think it's a double-edged sword with what you want to do.
Hey, if I'm on the board of supervisors, could be speaking out of context because I really have no idea how that stuff works, but it's something I would propose, right? It's like, I wouldn't just sit there and be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to police heavier. We're going to, basically just try to shut you guys down in every way possible. I would just come up with a compromise and say, can we make this work, right? Can there be sponsors for these?
Yeah. I agree. Let's.
I would sponsor the hell out of a sideshow.
That'd be pretty dope.
It would be really cool.
That'd be pretty dope.
Let's do it.
How about this podcast be the first sponsor? Bay Area Boys Podcast sponsors.
Could happen.
Again, I enjoy history. Let's just take a quick look back, okay? How has it always gone when people have tried to wipe something out, over-police something, over-regulate something? It's never worked in the entirety of this country and most other countries as well. Prohibition, that didn't end too well. The war on drugs, that didn't end too well. So many other countless things that we could talk about where when you try to come down hard on something, humans are resilient and people are resilient. And the harder you squeeze, the more they're going to slip through your fingers. And honestly, the worse you're going to make things.
Right.
So I think finding a compromise is probably, and usually is, the best way forward.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thanks, man. I'm profound as fuck, dude.
Let's get on to the next topic. Rents are declining here in the Bay Area, which is a little strange to me because my understanding of how this crazy Bay Area world kind of works is whenever homes are unaffordable and purchasing a home or owning a home is more unaffordable, rents tend to usually get higher.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Are people just saying, man, screw this, dude?
Like, I'm just getting out of the Bay Area, or, you know, what do you think? What are you seeing in your realm?
Yeah, we are seeing a pretty big mass exodus from the Bay Area. I saw a heat map.
Yeah.
And it showed, you know, in dark red, it was the most left places, and in bright green, it was the most gone to places.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've had Orlando in Florida. You have Austin area. I think Dallas was in there, kind of that little tri-city, Dallas, Austin, and Houston was really high. And then Charleston was 3 of the most gone to and growing places in the country. And the darkest red area on the entire map of the United States was the Bay Area.
Nice.
And it's because of the affordability. It really is. And so I think we've kind of come to this dare I say the B word in real estate, the bubble that we are on, where...
Are you saying we're in a bubble?
I'm saying we might be getting close to...
It's a bold statement,
It
Cotton.
is, which is why I said the B word, but I wanted to clarify in case people weren't sure what that meant for real estate. Do I think it's going to pop? Not necessarily, but I think we're coming up to the skin of the bubble. I'm sure there's a word for that.
I don't think we're in a bubble, per se. I think people are just getting fed up.
I think it's more of an equilibrium, I think.
Yeah.
Perhaps a bell curve might be a better word to use.
We run this podcast together, but we don't always have the same views out there. But Matt says we're in a bubble. I say we're not in a bubble. So I think, and here's something I was talking to with somebody the other day. I can't remember who, but kind of just the negative outlook on landlords that we see, not only, I guess, throughout the whole country, but really more so here in the Bay Area, which I think is, I don't know, I think it's not too fair.
Okay.
Because let me put it this way. For the landlords that, you know, are quote unquote, the term that we hear a lot is slumlords.
Slumlord.
Where they just have these really rundown buildings and they don't take care of them, right? They don't service them properly. They kind of don't, you know, maybe fix something whenever the tenant is making it clear that there's a problem that needs to be fixed. But then again, those people, you know, those landlords tend to not raise rents, right? And they just kind of keep people where they're at. And then we have the type of landlord that is very responsive, right? And makes sure that tenant is in a great living environment, that they're doing the things that they got to do to service that building. And they're just charging fair rents. So I want to know your take on that, as far as kind of why we've gotten into that stigma.
Because it's true.
Yeah,
it is. And
what is it?
I think with being a landlord, you are an entrepreneur at heart, right?
Yeah.
You run a small business that you are in control of. And I think it's really twofold. One, because with any small business or any business in general, you have good owners and good business owners, and you have bad owners and business owners. And just in the restaurant business, I've worked for those different types of people, and you can tell pretty quick, like, oh, this person knows what they're doing. They have their finger on the pulse. They're fair to their employees. Then you have other people who exploit people, raise prices on people, aren't fair to people, and just make living environments really difficult.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with landlords. I mean, I think one of the reasons why it's gotten worse is because the prices of homes have started going up so much. I think that makes people feel like their product has also raised in that value. Therefore, they are more entitled. Yeah. And especially because we have a housing problem here, I think people take advantage of that, knowing like, well, I have what you need. Yeah. So it's simple supply and demand. Yeah. The demand is high. So, okay, you want to live here? All right, I'm going to raise the rent this much, because what are you going to do? Yeah. Move? Be homeless?
Let me kind of put some perspective too during the pandemic. I mean, think about all these landlords that were good landlords, some bad, some good, right? Got absolutely screwed, right? Where these tenants didn't have to pay, you know what I mean? They're just straight up, you know, all these landlords just like caught holding their bag. Same exact thing, right? Hey, this is the law. So it's almost like, you know, landlords have to adhere to laws. If they don't, then they have a really good chance of getting sued. Then the tenants, this law passes, whatever it was, law or ordinance, you know, for them to not have to pay rent during the COVID times. And they took 100% advantage of that, whether they could afford to still pay it or not. They said, cool, if I don't have to pay rent, boom, I'm not doing it. Yeah. So there's no stigma on, I think on the other side is kind of my point. But yeah, I think it kind of comes down to really, I think, it's never fortunate when there's that person that kind of almost has that power over you, or, is like you have to answer to, in a sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of the other things too is, in politics, I don't know what the exact term is, but they talk about a pendulum, right? And we've seen it in this country where if it swings too far to one side, it's eventually going to swing far to the other side. And it keeps on doing that in infinitum. I mean, it goes on forever. So I think we saw that pendulum swing where people were so fed up with how landlords were treating them.
Yep.
When they could take advantage of that system, they did. And so that pendulum started to swing in the other way. And now, because people did take so much advantage, now the landlords are saying, well, I got screwed by my tenants, so now I'm going to be even tougher on people because look what you did when you didn't have to, or look what you did and I lost my ass on it. And right? So now the pendulum's starting to swing the other way. And it's this constant swinging that is always going to have, there's never an equilibrium,
right?
Which is frustrating. But again, welcome to America.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as equilibrium anymore. So you're going to have these constant shifts. And I think right now, because of what happened during the pandemic, all the landlords are really kind of up in their feelings about it and are coming down hard on tenants and on people and not wanting to care because they feel in their minds, well, you didn't pay me rent. You didn't give me probably $12,000, depending on where you are here. Could have been $24,000 in rent.
Yeah.
So when that tenant's like, could you fix my leaky sink? They're like, no.
Yeah.
you know what? I don't feel like doing that anymore,
and
which isn't good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's okay.
Yeah.
But that's what they're feeling like.
And I've heard also, my bad.
I was going to say, I've heard a lot of landlords talk about that.
Yeah.
How they feel like they were screwed. So now they got to get back to them. Get back on them. It's like, oh God, that's not helpful.
I've also heard of tenants, almost kind of firsthand too, where they're like, oh, we don't call our landlord because we don't want him to raise the rent on us, right? So they'll let a lot of bad stuff happen to those units and say, no, don't call him. Let's fix it because we don't want him to. Maybe if we start calling him or bugging him more, he's going to start wanting to raise that rent on us. So that's a whole other thing within itself where, I mean, regardless, if you're not a good landlord, if you're not a good manager, if you don't have a property management company managing your stuff, like you just got to do that. You shouldn't, not be checking up on your units and just letting things go because they're not calling you, right?
Well, and it's part of a business is upkeep of the business is overhead. Any business has that.
Yep.
No matter what you do, you're going to have, if you work in an office building, printers break down.
Yeah.
You work in a restaurant, stoves go
Yeah.
out. Like you got to fix it. And when you have to fix those things, you don't then go, well, I'm going to charge all my customers $1 more for all my meals now. Like, no, that's not their problem. That's your problem as a business owner.
I got a good scenario.
Yeah.
You know how first-time home buyers, if they're using down payment assistance, they have to take these classes in order to be approved for that and qualify for that? What if landlords, in order for you to purchase a rental property, had to take a 5-hour class on best practices on how to be a landlord? And the city that you're buying in, maybe, or county that you're buying in to get approved for that county, it basically says, hey, these are the newest county ordinances, these are the new laws. And then that's what you got to do.
I think it'd be a great idea. The cynic in me thinks it would be overall moot and pointless because, there's plenty of things that you need to take classes for that you never utilize during the job, or you just have to know the things to get through the class. But that's me being very cynical as I am with humans, unfortunately.
Way to shit on my idea, dude.
I'm not shitting on it.
That was genius, dude.
It's a great idea. I think the idea is sound.
Yeah.
Humans are flawed.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
Is I think people will just do the classes and go through whatever hoops they need to jump through just to be able to do it, and then they're going to do whatever they want. But maybe if they do get into a situation, they might think back to that training or those classes and go, okay, how can I better handle
there's
this?
continuing education.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. The idea is good.
Yeah.
The idea is a great one. I think there should be more regulations with things, especially when you're dealing with humans, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it. When you are dealing with something like housing, shelter for human beings, you should have some sort of training, if you want to call it that, to where you are able to properly handle this, life in your hands and the situation that you are bringing them into.
Yeah, 100%. Little off topic, but I wish our Canadian buddies were here because I know they would be on live if we were on live. I saw a post the other day where are Americans not allowed to buy properties in Canada?
Oh, I don't know.
It's a great question. Let us know, anybody out there who's watching this. But in the comments below, let us know. It's something I heard, and then I also heard, like Florida, either they did or they're putting a ban on anybody from out of the country can't purchase real estate anymore.
So no more overseas investors.
Kind of what that's what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's either coming for a proposal or it was made, and then I think there's a lawsuit around it too. But I wonder what that would be like in the Bay Area and for the Bay Area market, because there is a lot of overseas investors that come here, and it doesn't give all of our people a fair shot.
Yeah. Do you think that if that, okay, let's hypothetically go through and say that this ordinance is coming or is going. Is that because America feels like they don't want outside entities owning such a staple and mainstay of the American dream, which is housing?
Yeah. I don't think it's more so that they don't want that. I think it's more so that they're saying, holy shit, we're in a super low inventory kind of crisis right now. All these places have been bought up, now refied, and maybe we should have put some type of strain or in there one way or another, because all of our people who are here in the States are struggling to purchase something now because of everything that happened.
Yeah. And again, going back to my cynicism, the American dream is people from other countries coming here and buying everything up.
Yeah.
and owning, and capitalism. So,
right.
It's we're eating our own tail, unfortunately, when that happens.
So back to some quick stats. Alameda County and San Francisco County, I believe, went down 4% compared to last year. Nationally, median rents are only 0.5% lower. But nonetheless, even these slight drops in rent aren't, they're not combating really the affordability issue for renters here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's not like we have this huge amount of people now being excited, like, hooray, we can afford rent now. It's not some huge drop. I mean, if you take, if your rent's $2,000 a month, a 4% drop, is really not that much.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
I mean, that's what's tough right now too, is I know that a lot of buyers, especially young buyers right now, are looking at, when they get pre-approved, what their could possibly purchase a home for and what their monthly payment looks like. And then they're looking at this rental, and the rent, figuratively speaking, if you're putting a 3.5% or 5% down or 10% down, rent is astronomically lower.
Oh, absolutely.
Than what they would pay. So they're like, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to own a home. I believe in owning a home. I want to own a home, but how long am I have to pay this versus this per month? How sustainable is that? And let's just hope that interest rates go down so I can refinance then.
Well, and that's the big question that we hear really now more lately than I think we have in a long time is it a good time to buy a home?
Yeah.
And I know that this is such a fence-sitting answer, but it's the truth. Is it a right time for you to buy a home? It depends on your situation 100%. Because in a market like this, it is very situational. It's not like in 2020, 2021, where almost anybody could, not almost anybody, but a lot more people could buy a house because interest rates were so low. Getting money was so much more affordable at that time. So it opened the door for a lot of people. Now, like what we were seeing in the 1990s and that era is it's expensive to buy a home. It is. But is it still a good investment? Yes, it is. But like you were saying, can you handle that investment over a month-to-month, year-to-year length? Because that's what it's going to come down to. And if you can, really truncating this to make it short, if you can do it, then you probably should. It's probably a good idea, because you're not burning, while it might be a $600, $700, $800 difference between mortgage and rent, that's money that you are saving and building equity with instead of just burning away.
Right.
So if you can change your lifestyle and you can still live the life that you want to and will be happy with, go for it.
Yeah.
Buy the house, invest in it, because in 10 years down the road, your life will be better for it. Again, you did that. You bought at a younger age. You made that sacrifice, and now you're reaping the benefits of that.
Yeah. I think it's pretty simple. It just boils down to, like you just said, if you're the person that is, earning good money, right, month over month, and that monthly payment makes sense for you, do it. Don't go for the rental just because you want a little bit more affordable. Now, if you're like 50% or plus of your income is going to go straight towards housing, say no.
Yeah,
you know what I
too
mean?
much.
But let's move on. I want to talk about just two things because we talked about this in our last episode that didn't end up panning out. But two quick topics while we wrap up this episode. We got a $1.50 bridge toll hike proposal for BART. Newsom gave some money to BART. And then I want to talk about the Dream for All program that is supposed to be making an highly anticipated comeback.
Yeah, are we like lightning rounding this one?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes and no.
All right, we'll get in and get out, just kind of touch real quick. All right, you want to start with the 150
Let's do it.
bridge toll? Another bridge toll raise.
Yeah.
Hooray. We all rejoice around the Bay Area. Another bridge toll raise. But it's going towards specifically BART.
Yep.
And
Public transportation.
Public transportation, but I think they're really focusing, it's mostly going towards BART.
Yeah.
And the thing that they are going to try to do the most with that I believe it's twofold, right? It's raising security around BART just to help people feel safer, because there was a survey that came out that people feel the most unsafe using BART now than they ever have, and to renovate some of the BART trains as well. Is that correct? That's mostly where it's going?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I just think that I used to be a frequent bartier, but I don't anymore, and it's not a fun experience. I would rather, I'd rather not drink as much and go drive my own car, to San Francisco than take BART and choose to drink. Let me put it that way, just really simply.
Yeah. Okay. So you only go to the city to drink?
No, I'm just saying, that's usually...
How often do you go to the city to drink?
Never. I'm just saying that's the dilemma, right? That's that's always the toss-up. But then I can't I can't have some fun and really, have a few drinks if I do drive out there. So it's a common Bay Area dilemma.
Yes.
Right? Maybe not for everyone.
Not
maybe
for me.
Some, yeah.
I'm boring.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, no, a lot of people go because there's a lot of entertainment in the city. There's clubs, there's music, there's bars, there's drinking, there's a bunch of stuff out there. And it is a safe way to get to and fro without being an idiot.
I mean, Giants games, right? It's very, very common. Warriors games when they were in Oakland. I mean, I'm sure people take BART for Warriors games.
A's games. R.I.P.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that. But no, dude. I mean, $1.50 hike when we're already at $7 now for the Benicia Martinez Bridge. We're at $10 for the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, it just comes. It's like rents, right? It's insane. That people, for us to go and enjoy things here in the Bay Area, that we got to spend money like that on top of, California's gas prices. I'm my mom, my brother, you
filming this podcast
are in Benicia.
Yeah.
Are they worth that $8.50?
It's here's the thing. On that 150 hike, man, I really had to sit down and consider, I want to
broke the camel's back for me.
The 150? Yeah. I have to be really, I got to be finicky with what I want to do now, because especially if I want to go to the city, I have to cross two bridges.
Even if you want to go to Walnut Creek.
It's $7.50.
Yeah. No, it's going to be
$8.50. Excuse me. $8.50.
On top of the $25 salad, on top of the $10 for gas, on top of the $16 drink.
Craft cocktails.
Yes.
Yeah.
On top of the
parking.
On top of the sign here 20% for tip.
Only 20?
Yeah.
Cheapskate. So I mean, going to the city for me is almost $20 just in bridge toll.
Yeah.
Just to get there in bridge toll. That's insane. Now, luckily, I have Napa that doesn't have any bridges, so I can go
You
there.
don't go to Napa.
Sure, I do.
Nobody goes to Napa.
I love Napa. I love Napa.
I haven't seen one story of you in Napa.
Go to some wineries.
I can tell you where you are. You're in Walnut Creek. You're in Walnut, Contra Costa County, Alameda County.
The Cabernet Sauvignon. The tannins.
All right,
oh,
enough of
the
that.
legs.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let's talk about Newsom real quick before we go into.
Oh boy.
Everybody, California's favorite governor.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom. What was it, Johnny? Was it $3 billion? 5.1. I keep getting this wrong because it's just such an insane number. So I don't know, and correct us if we're wrong in the comments below. But maybe this $1.50 is out because Newsom just gave BART $5.1 billion. The biggest question is, Matt, what is BART going to do with that $5.1 billion? Is BART going to use that $5.1 billion effectively?
That to me is where, again, cynicism for humans and a lot of things really is to go, okay, we should see that $5.1 billion pretty quickly, I think. If you're getting that much money with wanting to have you're telling me exactly where it's going, exactly what it's going to be used for. I better see that money start cropping up and making things better right away.
I can tell you what the first thing they're going to do is have a massive pizza party. That's the first, number one, massive pizza party.
Well, and ice cream?
No, I think they'll do maybe a couple kegs or something.
Okay, it's going to be just pepperoni and cheese too.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
They're not going to cut the pieces once they get there in half again.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to do like an insanely expensive pizza plate, like cheese board or something. Like they're going to do like the most, top-notch pizza. They're not going to go for a Round Table or Pacifica pizza. It's going to be something.
No Little Caesars,
crazy.
no Domino's.
No way.
Yeah, it's going to be. They're going to
because they got to support a local business, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it's going to go towards bloat, and that's the problem with getting such an influx with money like that.
But here's the thing. Hey, at the end of the day, if the majority of the money they put into is upping security there, it's going to make BART better. That's people's main concern with riding BART right now is their safety. I do hope that they don't start, because this is another cultural thing about the Bay Area and BART, is the performers on BART. If they start limiting those performers, it's gonna piss me off a little bit.
You like the performers?
Love the performers.
Okay.
Yeah, always would. I was a generous tipper to the performers.
On the trains, in the stations, both?
Both, but majority on the trains themselves. Yeah.
I think so too. It's as long as they're not like bothering me, in your face.
They're gonna after they do their performance, they're gonna go do their rounds.
I don't mean like that. I mean if their performance isn't like aggravating or annoying me, that's fine. I love I'm a musician. I'm a performer, an artist. I love that.
Yeah, we know.
What I'm saying is I can appreciate that hustle, and I love that.
Yeah.
And I love walking to a BART station and seeing someone who's so good at their craft, like insanely good.
Even if they're not, and they're out there putting themselves out there, and they got their little open thing, or they got their hat that they're coming around at their performance. More power to them.
Yeah.
You didn't need to be a great performer for me to give you a tip. It was the act of just being out there and putting yourself out there for me. But Matt likes the finer things in life, so
I do like Napa.
Yeah, totally. I've seen some gnarly stuff on BART though, man. So I think up in the security would be good. I've seen some really gnarly stuff on BART. Let's get into the Dream for All program before we wrap up. I know we talked about this last time when we were here in the sauna. So what do we like about it? What do we not like about it? There's a lot of controversy. A lot of people who don't like it. A lot of people like it. Go ahead, lay it on us.
Yeah, I think that it is, again, we're going to kind of lightning around it a little bit. I think it's an overall good thing because two things will be accomplished. One, people will be able to use this program to help them buy a house. Or two, if they're not able to use the program, it really gets them to look at their finances. And even if they can't get it done or it's not quite the right time for them, at least them knowing where they are. And this is what I tell a lot of my first time home buyers is at least have the conversation with your lender look at your finances, look at your savings, look at everything. We'll kind of walk you through it to find out where you are on that path, because sometimes you are a lot closer than you think you are, or sometimes you're a lot farther than you think you are. And both of those are good because it helps you put things into perspective and lets you actually game plan if this is a goal to let you see if it's achievable. And if it is achievable, it might be as simple as just putting $100 more away a month, $200 more away a month, which you don't go out to the nice dinner. You don't get Starbucks as much as possible. It's those little things.
You know what? You say this and then you're on your stories constantly with these 4 to 5 star dinners. So maybe you should chill out a little bit.
I bought a house,
Yeah,
dude.
okay.
I did the things.
So I'm going to go over real quick lightning round my pros and cons.
Okay.
Of the Dream Frog program. Pros. You get a more affordable monthly payment. You gets you off the fence to finally say, hey, maybe I should look at what I can afford with this Dream Frog program. Even if it doesn't work out, I think it kind of gets you on the fence to say, hey, what's possible? What's not possible? Another pro, you own 80% of something versus 0% of nothing. What are my other pros? I think that's it for pros.
No PMI.
No
I know
PMI.
I know that kind of goes into a
PMI
lower
is going
monthly
down
payment,
a little bit,
but
yeah, no, for sure.
that's still big.
Great point.
That's still big.
My cons, California owns 20% of your home, right? You can only refinance once in that whole term of the loan. So you got to save that refinance for a rainy day.
Yep.
You have to, not only do they own 20% of the home, they're going to want that 20% down payment that they gave you back. So, prices should keep going up. They should keep going up. So it shouldn't be an issue, but you guys kind of have to put that into context, right?
And just to be clear, you have to pay back that loan, the 20% they gave you plus
20%
the equity. Okay, I just want to make sure.
No, that's great.
Cool.
I'm glad you said that. So yeah, some heavy pros and some heavy cons, but I think at the end of the day, when the program first rolled out, I had like 8 people I was working with, only 2 ended up buying outside of the Dream for All program. So that kind of shows you that it got people excited, then it got people to just see, because a lot of people, they'll think, still to this day, that you need the 20% down to buy the home. You don't. It does make things a lot more affordable, but you don't need that. So regardless of that, I still think that it's a good program. I mean, you can't beat, like, hey, if you're tired of renting, you're tired of getting your rent raised, and this 20% helps you to get into not only the city that you want to be in, but just helps you own a home and be secure and stay in that home, raise a family, have a dog, whatever you want to do. Maybe it even gets you closer to your work commute, right? You get a condo in Oakland or San Francisco or something like that. But yeah, I think overall I'm going to give it a thumbs up versus a thumbs down.
I do too. I as well. The other con about it, if you want to say, is it creates a circus for just everybody, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can be really stressful. And I believe it's a 200 million they're giving.
So first round was 300, and now, they're coming back with 200. I did hear that they're going to put some more restrictions on who can qualify for this, which should have been done the first time. California fumbled the ball in the worst way possible, I think, with the first round of how this came out.
I don't think they fumbled it. I think it was a good first try. It's not going to be perfect.
No, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. There was people buying $1 million homes with this 20% down. I mean, and think about it. There's only so many funds, right? If you can afford $1 million home, and you don't have, there's something a little wrong there.
No, I agree. Yeah. And that was going to be kind of my point going into it, which is $200 million, while it sounds like a lot of money, is not a lot of money in California.
California's huge.
Well, it's huge. And not only that, if that's 100 homes at $1 million, 100, that's it for a 20% down.
Yeah.
That's 200 homes at 500,000, which is, in a lot of places in California, the median price. I mean, that's kind of what you're thinking of, especially for first-time home buyers. 200 homes of all of California at a $500,000 purchase point is nothing.
And you still think California didn't immensely fumble?
What are they supposed to do?
Put regulations on it from the start.
Which they learned from.
No,
it's all about learning.
Come on, you think California's done programs like this in the past, and they've had more regulations. There's no way that they needed to learn from this. Come on, these are all college-educated people it has to be a whole team of people putting this thing together.
A college education does not mean intelligence.
I 100% agree with you because you're looking at a guy without a college education.
Yeah, me too. Hell yeah, dude, let's go.
But
That's why we're on a podcast.
yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm saying, like, you know, come on. It's like these are people that are probably making good money that were put on a team to roll this program out. And you didn't, you know, there wasn't team members maybe playing devil's advocate and saying, well, maybe we should do this to prevent this, or maybe we should do this to prevent this. And then it goes to the higher up, and the higher up goes, this looks good. Let's go.
Yeah, that's how bureaucracy works, man.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's kind of...
We should just call this the Cynicism Bay Area podcast.
I know. I bring a lot to the table, but it's I think it's more realism, right?
No, it's
I mean,
true.
it's
Yeah.
I'm proven right more than I'm proven wrong, unfortunately, and I don't have this like pie in the sky mentality about the real world.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a dreamer. I can be a silly goose a lot of the times, but when it comes down to real stuff, like tangible, it's a complete...
I want it, like when we do the short form cut, I want to see like just like a silly goose pop up on the...
Dude, I'm down for silly goose time.
Yeah,
but
cool.
when things like this happen in the real world, I really do take a discerning eye to it, and I just really try to be honest and like, what has the past taught us, right? And I really do try to have that influence what we should do in the future. And while it wasn't a perfectly executed plan for the first foray into it,
you love this. The whole a non well executed plan is better than a rolling out a perfectly executed plan.
yes.
It's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, I've done it before.
You are never going to have it's never going to be perfect. Ever.
No.
So
perfect is a overstatement.
Okay.
But
A well thought out.
yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, it's like, yeah, if you're Instagram, you can go ahead and just roll out threads without it being fully dialed in because you have this massive audience that you know it's so easy to just download an app.
I also think it was a move of opportunity too.
Yeah, whatever
Because
it was.
they see Twitter over there on fire. And then they just opened the half-done thing, sort of, kind of that. Like they went, get it out, whatever it's in, get it out now, because it was a perfect time.
So that's
to
what
do
I mean, right? If you're a company that did what Instagram did without Instagram's following, it would have gone nowhere. But if you're Instagram, you can absolutely roll out that half executed plan, and have it get 10 million users within 8 hours.
But I would still say that the first Dreamer program was a success. Would you say it's not a success?
No, it wasn't a success.
Really?
Let us know in the comments below. Realtors, lenders, maybe some of you
Home
out there.
buyers.
Maybe some of you out there who were shopping with the Dream for All program, like my clients who got extremely screwed out of their home. Sorry, guys. Wasn't my fault. Was nobody's fault except for California's, actually. Let us know in the comments below what you think if California did a good job rolling out this first Dream for All program. And fingers crossed that California gets it right this time, second time around.
You got to crawl before you can walk, man.
California has been shit in the bed for a long time now. And they're still shit in the bed, and they haven't learned from that shit in the bed mistake.
Why don't you leave then, like
I'm
everybody
here to
else? Why don't you leave then?
I'm here to potty train California.
Potty training your new baby? You can potty train a state.
Exactly. All right, let's sign off here.
Hey, thank you so much, everybody, for watching this episode of Bay Area Boys podcast. My name is Matt. This is my good buddy rolling over here. We do real estate in the Bay Area. So if you guys have any questions, concerns about anything Bay Area, real estate, sports, food, anything going on, let us know. Shoot us a DM. We'd love to chat with you guys.